we have an awesome and tremendous role. Don't let anybody minimize it. I think that the person who minimizes the role not only is misguided, but they're to say that they're missing out doesn't quite encompass it. It doesn't quite. I'm not even sure how to articulate it. They're not just missing out. They're missing it. They're just completely missing it. Hey everybody, it's Venti Mark and I am back with another video. But before we get started, I would like to invite you to check out today's outfit of the day. And if you have not had an opportunity, head over to themodestfitting.com and sign up for my newsletter so you can be notified when I drop my first collection of skirts and dresses featuring modesty, femininity, and beauty. But without further ado, let's begin. What is a homemaker and what on earth do you do all day? I'm continuing a book review on Fascinating Womanhood written by Helen Andelin. And in this is chapter 17 called The Domestic Goddess. And she attempts to answer the question, what is a homemaker and what is it that we do? Which is, I'm sure, a question that any housewife, any homemaker, you've heard that question before. And it probably was an offensive kind of question. It may have even left you stumped on how to answer it because what we do as housewives and homemakers is so extensive. Sometimes it's hard to distill it down into a single sentence, but let's read and see what she has to say. What is a domestic goddess? First, she is a good homemaker. She keeps a clean, orderly home, has well-behaved children, cooks delicious meals, and is successful in her overall career in the home. Second, the term relates to the woman herself and her orientation toward her work. She accepts her work as a sacred trust. Hers is a career of worldwide importance and infinite purpose. Because she glorifies her work, because she loves and serves her family as a goddess, they respect her as one. She is the queen of her household, bringing a sort of glory to her role as homemaker. The woman who has chosen to make the home her abode, her primary place of work, where that's going to get the first measure of her effort, her energy, her time, her attention. There are so many different roles that we fill that it is kind of hard to distill it down into one thing. And I think that sometimes when something is really profound, when it has a profound impact and it makes a lot of waves, sometimes it's hard to describe something so magnanimous in one word or in a single sentence or even in a short paragraph. By no means am I comparing the role of a homemaker to God, but like, can you imagine if someone said, who is God and what does he do? Like that would be kind of a stumper of a question. And it's not because God himself is not without infinite importance, and it's not that God is without extensively being involved in all of creation as he is the source of all creation. It's just he's so pervasive throughout all things that it's hard to answer that question. And I think sometimes when it comes to the woman who resides in the home, she's so involved with all of the little details and the intricacies and even the fiber of the home that it's hard to sometimes describe what she does. And to someone who doesn't value the role of homemaker, who doesn't value the role of housewife, to them it looks like, well, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. But the reality is that we're doing so many things that it's hard to just nail it down to a bullet point list. She goes on and says, she's describing what are kind of the activities of a homemaker. She says qualities of the domestic goddess, but I kind of understood it to be, here's kind of a general consensus of the things that we do in our home. The domestic goddess serves faithfully as the understanding wife, the devoted mother, and the successful homemaker. She is skilled in the feminine arts of cooking, sewing, cleaning, organizing, managing a household, caring for children, handling money wisely, and interior decorating. Not only does she do these jobs, she does them well, going beyond the call of duty, doing more than is required. This is an aside, but let me not get to that point yet. So all of the things that she says, cooking, the cleaning, sewing, organizing, managing, household, these are things that create the aura of the home. And now this is the aside I was going to mention earlier. Sewing is something that I kind of dabbled in and it didn't quite stick with me, but I'm thinking I might try it again. But I realized that all of these things that she's listing as like the feminine arts, these are the things that actually get passed down through the generations. Don't you have in your family those recipes that you're like, yeah, my grandma or my great grandma used to make this, and we still have this recipe and we still make it today? That's one of the expression of the feminine arts within the home. These are lineage making, legacy making things. About going back to sewing, I would see that in the Bible as the Proverbs 31 woman, she sews, and I was like, well, I guess I'll learn how to sew. It says it in the Bible. But then I started thinking, I'm like, but I don't really like to sew. Like, what is this about? Like, does it serve any purpose? And I was listening to these two women who are a little bit older than me talk about how their great grandmothers sewed these elaborate quilts and how they've been passed down from mother to daughter all the way until it landed in their hands. And I understood this is why sewing is a part of the feminine arts, because just like recipes, just like all of the things that make up the nostalgic memories, sewing literally makes it so that you have the ability to make physical items that can be passed down from generation to generation, and they become family heirlooms. And so that's when we talk about the kind of roles that the woman occupies. Much of what we do as homemakers and housewives are the things and the stuff that legacies are made of. Like, we do that. Like, we are the one that makes those roles that everybody has to have, and that then they kind of become coveted secrets that we don't share with people outside of the family. They have to come to our gathering to taste these delicious foods. These are the quilts that so-and-so's grandma made, and now it's hanging on the wall in the house, even though it's been 4 or 5 generations. Like, we are the medium through which lineage and legacy is handed down. That's what the woman is. The man's name is the man has his name passed down, but it's the woman who hands the baton of legacy. Like, we are the legacy builders. And so that's why I don't let anyone, and for me, it's not even, I'm so far beyond it, because it's so cemented in me, my importance and my role as a homemaker. I don't let anyone make light of the contribution that I make in my home, because my mind is not even just on my immediate family. Of course, they are my priority, but my thinking, my focus is lineage oriented. I understand that I am one link in a very long chain, and in a very real way. When I started feeling the call to be a homemaker and a housewife, I knew that was from the Lord. I didn't know what he was doing with it. I didn't know how to be a homemaker or a housewife. I didn't have that example growing up. But as I've gotten further into this, I realized this is really a God thing. And he's doing something that I'm not going to see the full and final outcome. The final outcome of this work that he's doing in me will probably come to fruition long after I am gone. Long after I am gone. He's just starting something small in me that I have no doubt. I don't have any doubt in my mind that it's going to show up and persist throughout the generations. And he's doing something. And I know that the work that I do as a homemaker and housewife is not just an incidental aspect to that thing he's accomplishing, but in a very real way. I feel like it's at the crux. It's at the crux of what he's accomplishing in my lineage. But let's go on to see what else she has to say. The domestic goddess adds feminine touches to her homemaking. Gingham curtains, a basket of fruit, soft pillows, a cozy rug at the doors, flowers, a row of plates above a crossbeam, cheerful wallpaper to give a homey feeling to the house. She adds feminine touches to her meals, cheerful tablecloths, pretty dishes, and delicious aromas. Men long remember the smell of their mother's cooking, homemade bread baking, onions frying, cinnamon rolls, and beef stew. I kind of touched on this already, but women, while again, I am all for male authority, male headship, and male leadership, and I actually rest in that. I don't don't try anymore to try to fight my husband for the leadership role. I don't want it. They are the ones to spearhead the way, and we are to, of our own volition, submit and follow them. But as much as they are spearheading the way, man, the whole thing revolves around the women, though. It revolves around the women. The women dictate the legacy, such that when a man, even an adult man, when he has thoughts about like what's it like to be home, his mind goes to what his mother did. Even a grown man, his mind goes to what his mother did. That's how like far encompassing and huge is the role of a woman, especially when she's fully operating in the capacity of homemaker within her home and housewife. Like it stays with the people who were under her care. This is an interesting thing. This is an aside, but I remember I was watching some sort of documentary, and it was these men who were at war, and they were seeing horrific things, awful things, and some of them would come back and say, part of the biggest hurdle to like just warfare was some of the things that they saw, that they could see, and the effect of what they saw was so profound that many of them would break down sometimes in the middle of warfare, curl up into a fetal position, and they could actually be heard saying, I want my mother. I want my mother. And I was thinking, ladies, if you have any doubts in your mind about the profound space that the woman holds in the home, the evidence of it is all around us. It's all around us, down to the fact that it's what the mothers do that cement the memories that the people under our care remember. Like when someone is old, they're like, oh, I remember when I was young, my mother used to do so and so. When people are in horrific incidences like in war, they cry out for their mothers. They don't even cry out for their fathers. They cry out for their mothers. We have an awesome and tremendous role. Don't let anybody minimize it. I think that the person who minimizes the role not only is misguided, but they're to say that they're missing out doesn't quite encompass it. It doesn't quite. I'm not even sure how to articulate it. They're not just missing out. They're missing it. They're just completely missing it. The last point I wanted to go over is a small excerpt. She says, she is also happy in her homemaking role. She is not bored. She is not looking to the world of men for fulfillment. Her glory is the esteem of her husband, the happiness of her children, and her overall success in the home. She may serve humanity in additional ways outside the home, but she is not dependent upon it for fulfillment. In summary, we can say that the domestic goddess has the following qualities, and then she goes into all of these things. I remember I had a friend of mine. She said it so innocently. I don't think she meant anything by it. But I had told her that I had just started a business and that the business was doing really well. And she said, oh, you must be really fulfilled now. And that comment let me know that in some capacity, she thought that my being just a housewife or just a homemaker was unfulfilling, such that, oh, there was something missing. And now that I had this business that I was running, now I'm fulfilled. And I think on some level, she may have even felt a little bit bad for me, like feeling bad that, you just get to stay home. You don't get to like have a career and don't get to have a career. And I just remember thinking, oh, she feels bad for me, but I feel bad for her. Like, and not even in a shady way. I don't want to do that. I think sometimes there's like this like unspoken like working moms versus like staying at home moms, and I'm not even trying to play into that. But I so understand the role that I have as a gift and as like a liberty that I want that for every woman that's married and wants to really build her home. I wish that she could have the opportunities that I have, and many of us do. Many of us are homemakers and housewives. But I tell that small story to say that when she says she is happy also in her homemaking role, she is not bored, she is not looking to the world for fulfillment. That is really true for me. For anyone who might be watching who's not yet married or not a mother, and you're kind of like thinking about this whole homemaking deal, certainly do what's good for you. Certainly do what's right for you. But I sincerely am fulfilled in being a housewife and homemaker. I've had the jobs. I've worked at the big companies, the small companies, the medium-sized companies, in all different kinds of fields. I've done it. And not one of them was more fulfilling to me than even, I'm more fulfilled scrubbing a toilet clean in my house and being able to sit back and enjoy a home that's clean and tidy and organized because I made it that way. That is more fulfilling to me than opening an Excel spreadsheet and running numbers and data ever was. And there's no shade on running Excel sheets and running data and number. Like, you got to do what you got to do. But what I'm saying, I think that there's a huge misunderstanding or a huge kind of like misconception that fulfillment is found in employment, and that to be home is to experience a lack of fulfillment. And what my experience has taught me is that it's the exact opposite. I was super unfulfilled while working a job and have felt more satisfied with a day's work in my house than I ever did working for someone else. And so when she says the wife is, what does she say? She's not looking to the world for fulfillment. I would say if you are a homemaker who's still struggling with that, like if you still, because I have friends who are homemakers, but they're not fulfilled and they're looking for that fulfillment in a job. And I think that there sometimes is value in going through that process just so that you can learn, the fulfillment's not there either. If you're a homemaker who's struggling with feeling fulfilled, but you deep down know this is where you're supposed to be, take that to the Lord and ask him to make you satisfied with the work of your hands. Ask for his help to feel that contentment, that satisfaction, that deep sense of, I've accomplished something meaningful today. Like, ask him for that, because I'm telling you, it's not as far-fetched and as beyond reach as it might feel. It's not. I feel that. I feel that even when I am doing the dishes and I've loaded it and I've scrubbed my sink clean and it's empty and it's like all of the soot and soil has been removed from it. There's real accomplishment to be felt in doing honest work that serves the purpose of building your home. It's so strange to me. Like, I know someone's gonna be like, Joyce, you can't be serious, but I'm serious. The way that I feel when I've cleared out all the laundry bins, when all the bathrooms in my house are clean, my kitchen is in order, I just pull out some fresh homemade cornbread from the oven, and there is a really deep, profound feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment where I'm just like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I really am. Some people call it like, people in the world call it living in your purpose. Like, I think that's what they're describing. It's like what I feel. I just feel that when I'm doing the work inside of my home in a way that, and the work outside of my home, as good as it was, even running the business, running a profitable business, working a job and huge companies, I never felt that. I never got that. I'm living in my purpose. I'm like in synergy, as some people say. I feel that when I'm doing my work inside my home. And it's such a great and rewarding feeling for me that I just wish that for other women. I wish it for other women. And perhaps, like I said, I did have that call to be home shortly after I got engaged. I started feeling this like, I'm supposed to be home. And so perhaps it's the Lord who put that in me. He put that spirit of contentment in my home. He put it in me. And so that's why I'm saying, if you're lacking that, but on some level, you feel like you're supposed to be at home, ask him for that. Ask him for that sense of contentment. And that's deep satisfaction and accomplishment, and that sense of this is rewarding. Ask him for that, because it is real. Homemakers, housewives, we do the diligent homemaker and housewife does meaningful work that pays dividends throughout the lineage. That's how you get these family heirlooms that get passed down. That's how you get these recipes that get passed down. That's how you get these environments where family gatherings are warm and they're loving and they're welcome, and memories get made, and they all revolve around the woman who orchestrated it all. Like, that's how we get this. Our work is meaningful. But if you don't have that yet, ask God. Ask him to give it to you, because he will give you that sense of purpose and that sense of this is meaningful work. He will do that. So yes, the next time someone asks you as a homemaker or housewife, what is it that you do all day? It might be hard to answer that question, but the question is not difficult to answer because we don't do anything. It's because we do all things. Amen. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.